Because we got a big movie to discuss, and it's very fun to discuss this movie because it's very fascinating. Yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, quick review on Secret Invasion. We'll continue reviewing this show like briefly and with the other topics. But right now we're kind of mixed with the show, Secret Invasion. But yeah, yeah, it's just so anyway. All right. So anyway, so let's get into the Wolverine. So yeah, so happy 10th anniversary of Wolverine. I We watched it yesterday. I was so happy to rewatch it yesterday. Um, I love this movie. It's at my sixth favorite X-Men film in my ranking.
Mhm.
Uh, and yeah, I can't believe it's 10 years since this movie released, and I don't think no one talks about this. So yeah, so what's your opinion on the Wolverine? Will I know it was in kind of like in low tier ranking, like in the X-Men films.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's bad, but I also I
Mm,
don't know. I don't think it's like that great. It's just kind of in the middle.
middle,
Yeah,
yeah.
like there's nothing I don't like about it, but it didn't do anything to stand out
No,
for me at least.
yeah, um, yeah. That I totally understand why. I liked it. It's definitely in my middle ranking of good films of the X Men films. I
Hmm.
think it's a really good film. I think James Mangold. This was my first movie to discover James Mangold as a director. I really like his work. Um, I seen his first film, Heavy. I seen Walk the Line. It's a really good film. Johnny Cash. I saw 4B40. I am maybe gonna see Indiana Jones and Disney Plus when that happens.
Hmm.
Uh, and yeah, and then of course, yeah, Logan. We all love and dear. Um, yeah, so I think this was a. I mean, first up, uh, this is a major improvement over X Men Origins Wolverine. Uh,
Yes.
I don't think I had expectation of the sequel besides okay, setting in Japan, but it was a major improvement. I think what it did very well was to really focus on Logan,
Hmm.
Wolverine as a character, and this is probably the best character-driven film in a superhero film. You know, which is kind of debatable, but I think it's actually a great character-driven because of just how like inexplicable it is about the themes and like what Logan is going through to this film.
Hmm.
Like I really like the way they do it. You know, and I think Hugh Jackman is so committed, and he's like he's peak Wolverine here. Like I mean, look at him in shirtless, and it's like, oh my god,
Yeah, this is definitely the most he's looked the part.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, it's incredible. But yeah, it's just great. And then the Duke cast, the Japanese actors, I thought were really great. And I think they really hold their own as characters in the
hmm.
film,
Hmm.
especially Yukio.
Yeah,
She's great. Besides that, I know there's a lot of flaws, but we'll get to that. But what do you think? You think that this is a good character driven film, though?
well, yeah, I think so. Yeah, no, I think it explores Wolverine and his like just like how the original trilogy affected him, how his past has affected him. Um, yeah, no, it's I think it is kind of like a precursor to Logan in that way, where I don't know, you really feel like the team behind it understands the character a bit more than the people that made X Men Origins.
Do you think it's a good character driven kind of film, Will? Or do you disagree with that?
No, I agree. I think it explores how the events of the original trilogy and the events of just Logan's past have affected him,
Yeah.
and that it's kind of like a stepping stone toward the movie Logan, in that you feel like the team behind this movie really understands the character more than the people behind Origins did.
That's a good shake. No pun intended. Yes, I agree. I think this team understood Logan a little more than Origins. It also, they did a good job of setting up him in Days of Future Past too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The way he had to become a mentor and to the young Xavier in Days of Future Past, and then that's also setting up how Logan, where he now had to take care of the older Xavier, and
Right.
so yeah, a lot of things that this movie did set up Logan's final arcs in these last two X-Men films. It's going to appear.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that I appreciate is kind of discussing Logan's he say immortality. Well,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think that's something we don't discuss too much on Logan with that. But I think this and Logan did a really good job discussing that. But in different ways. Because with Logan, it's not really about immortality. It's more like the legacy he's gonna have, and where it's gonna end for him, and what he wants to be stand for. Where
Right.
Wolverine, it's about him rediscovering to live on. You know,
Mm-hmm.
What happened to X-Men Last Stand with Jean and all that, and trying to rediscover his purpose, and find the direction that he was supposed to do, but lost it during the events of the original X-Men, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's way back of first X-Men movie, but now he has more his self, his he knows who he is in this movie, but he's not committed to his cause as a soldier, as the characters are calling in this film, or Roman, you know.
Yeah.
So that's, I really appreciate that. And I think one thing I appreciate that this movie does was I like that this movie was mature. One of the things that superhero films always struggle is to balance the gritty and grounded way, grounded in reality. You can get away with certain things like Batman Begins and Iron Man and some of the MCU films that are grounded. I think it was good that the Wolverine, you kind of saw that they tried to do that, because the last two X-Men films before First Class were very silly, and they were over the top.
Mm-hmm.
It was just getting to the point where they were just doing really bad comic book things. That was the reason we don't like these worst comic book movies,
Right.
So it was good that First Class and then this really did a good job of setting back the more mature adult kind of themes that the X-Men films were doing in the first two films,
Mm-hmm.
Which we'll get into the third act. I know a lot of people have that issue with that, but I don't have that problem with that. I think I will bring in more of the execution of the film. I feel like they were handcuffed with the Creature 13 film in this
Yeah.
film.
Yeah.
It's because I know I didn't know that there was a unrated cut of this film. So
Interesting.
yeah, it's okay. It gives you more of the ninja fight, but
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't improve the film. But I think the film is good. So because in the film you still see blood and the claws in Wolverine a couple of times, which I'm shocked that they got away with that actually. So when I rewatched this film yesterday, so but yeah, so I think this movie is a well-oiled kind of film that understands Logan, but also I like the one thing that they fixed with Origins was not to put too many mutants. That was a big issue with Origins.
Mm-hmm.
like I like that we had just a few mutants in this film. With the Viper and Yukio, who's also a mutant. So, but we didn't have too many mutants in this film, which I like.
Yeah.
So, and I like that we were focused on more mutants, more humans. Sorry, in this film. So, and focusing on family too. That was kind of the intriguing part with this film. But yeah, let's get into Hugh Jackman here as Wolverine. I mentioned before he's top pick here. I like the way he first off, he looks so unrecognizable with the long hair and beard.
Mm-hmm.
It was very funny. The comments on the Japanese people were saying to him like he's a caveman, which was funny. And this is my favorite one because I now remember where I got the word violation was from this movie when he had to had a haircut and had to be clean to see Yashia.
Mm-hmm.
And of course Yuki had to, I say Mariko had to tell Yukio to take him first to take a shower and all that to be proper, not be like his shovel caveman look. Before to see this old man. So, and then of course when he got all cleaned up, he told Yukio that he felt violated. It was very funny from Logan's way. But getting to that scene, I really like the scene between him and Yashia, like how right away that scene gives you what the themes and what Logan's going to face about his immortality.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, he talks about how, I say it that Yashia wants to take away his immortality to live like a normal person, and and then I like how Logan is very skeptical. It's interesting that he never agreed on that part of taking away his powers, but at the same time, it's a curse that he has to uphold. So it's kind of cool to see Logan being this very heroic person that he needs to carry this curse. He doesn't want anyone to have this, as he's been doing for so many years. I really appreciate we discussed that, and of course when we see the Viper affecting Logan's powers throughout the film, I appreciate we get the moments where he is not used to having to not heal fast, and you see him slowly becoming more human.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool. Especially when he has to clean up in the bathroom in the bullet train. That was a very what do you call it? Vertical, David Fincher kind of scene where he's almost losing a lot of blood and almost gonna be unconscious, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's really great. My favorite moment is always when he has to shave, and you see the one scratch doesn't heal up right away, and that's a cool way to show you that the powers are very wonky.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. This is where I'll get into nitpicks. How Viper's powers affect Logan's powers that way? How you can stop his healing powers?
I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. At a certain point when I'm watching an X-Men movie, I've completely suspended my disbelief, and I'll accept whatever they tell me is true.
Okay, so
sure, yeah, she can do that.
She can do, yeah. Yes, that's true. I mean, especially Viper, she's OP. Even think about it, she's immune to poison.
Mm-hmm.
She can poison hits her victims, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then undoes the poison, as you've seen when she does to Haranada, the former boyfriend of Rupio, the arrow hero, where she scratched a little bit of the face and then sprays her poison at him, and then unsprays it on him, and it's what kind of power she has? It's just odd. Yeah, so Okay, so it's just funny every time I see this movie. It's like power. It's because it how's that like nanotechnology or like that bug machine that it was in Logan's body can like affect it as well. That was a weird thing. That was
Yeah,
really so. And it was funny that you see it before um you see it again in that scan machine thing, which is cool. We should have that soon in
mm,
hospitals. um, but yeah, then I guess get into characters. Let's get into Yanisha, the grandfather, who's basically the main villain here.
hmm
And one of the things I really like with this film, and we don't see this enough with all superhero films, is a very elaborate villain plan that's like so well machined
hmm
in corrupting people's groups. It's something you don't see in films, and this is like you see this very well in this film with the grandfather like being so obsessed with Wolverine from the day of the what was the World War II event in this movie was depicting
there's the bomb going off in
yeah
Nagasaki.
Nagasaki, right. So Yashia was a soldier from that horrible event that happens. By the way, I really like that he again just like first class do like a revised history.
hmm
So it's kind of cool. Um, so I like that, and like I like that we go back and forth to that event, see how Yasha was affected by those events with Wolverine. I That was really great, and the effects there is awesome. The bombing,
Yeah.
it's
hmm
really effective, especially Logan when he gets hit with all the blasts, and he's
Yeah. All the radiation.
yeah, oh my god, and then he grows his skin and his hair um
hmm
back to what it was.
Yeah.
And then it's like wow, it's just crazy. But it's a great way to get like hooked back to the character Wolverine right away.
hmm
But I think Yasha is a great villain. I actually like him. I think he's
Yeah.
a great X-Men villain. I like his reason to live. He doesn't want to die yet, and he's just taking so many measures to take Wolverine's powers away. And I think he's just crazy. And
Yeah.
uh,
And he's really thought it out, which is
yeah,
it is a good villain plan.
hmm
Yeah.
yeah. And at the same time, you also got his son. His son's name is escaping me right now. We'll get to that.
Shinji, I think.
Yeah, Shinjin. He's the actor from John Wick Chapter 4. If you see the action scene in Japan, he's that one from this movie. Um, if you've seen John Wick Chapter 4.
Yeah, I've only seen the first one, but he's also I'm looking at his Wikipedia right now, and he was the guy that Hawkeye fought in Endgame.
Yes, yeah, he's that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my god, I hate that they didn't use him that much in Endgame. That's the same
hmm
because he's a good actor, and he's here. He's another antagonist we have to deal with, where um, he's trying to stop he's trying to kill his daughter, basically, like kidnap her, because
hmm
in the film we discovered that in the will that the grandfather set up is that she's going to take over the company. Now, that's something I kind of like that we don't get is that was he going to allow that to happen if he got the powers of Logan? You know, so it's kind of funny that he did that.
hmm
I I don't know if it was just a ploy to get rid of his son or like just a way to distract people from his actual plan. That's like a cool way to do that. You know, as a
hmm
chase and of course Mirko's fiance is also helping him with the yakuza that that's chasing after her. So but yeah, so yes, you're a really great villain. I guess we're gonna get into the mech suit. What's your opinion on the Super Samurai? They split up the silver ceremony, and I was happy they did it.
Hmm.
I don't know about the mech suits and what do you thought about that?
Yeah, I mean, it didn't need to be a mech suit, but it was fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. Yeah. I.
I guess like making it a. Well, I guess again, it didn't need to be a mech suit, but
Yeah.
making it be made out of adamantium was
Neat.
it's a good choice. Yeah.
Mm, yeah.
Make him more of a foil for Wolverine.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but
Mm. Yeah. Um. I. I. I mean, it's not like the MCU. Where we're really deep. Like. I like what's like at least I appreciate X-Men films. It's like you got mutants and humans. Like at
mhm,
least I'm happy about that. The MCU always has this problem where they have to do the dark image of your hero, right?
right. Yeah, I'm glad it wasn't just um, Sabretooth as the villain for the
Yeah,
Wolverine movie.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, but yeah, exactly. And I like the way they did that. Actually, think about it,
Yeah.
like having a human using the thing that makes Wolverine indestructible is like a neat idea.
Yeah, like a human that wants the mutant's power,
Yeah,
and like gets it for himself just through ingenuity,
yeah,
is a really good, again, foil for an X-Men hero.
yeah, exactly. And of course, him being older is kind of unique as well.
Hmm. Hmm.
You know, him taking the healing factor is kind of like a good twist of like here's Logan with being not like looking still the same, but excuse me, but you know he realizes this is a curse where you look at Yachia who lived a very lot like a I mean he lived like a long life. Think about it, like 1940s through the World War II.
Yeah.
We have and he built a company of an
Hmm.
empire, like Apple, basically, as seen in this film. And he's so desperate to live on and keep his legacy going, which is crazy. So it's really sad to see that. But yeah, I, I didn't have to make the mech suit so large, like a transformer. Like you could just make it small.
Yeah.
I did question that. It's like, why so big? Like, and then like why use the mech suit to take Wolverine's powers? It just like I don't know, like when we get to the end, it's just funny because like I like that we take away his claws
Hmm.
and like it. I mean, first off, the fact that this movie had the pardon my French, had the balls to take his claws away and like and him have to use his bone claws is really great image because he's like trumpeting science basically,
Right.
because the
Yeah.
science is the thing that gave Wolverine his animated claws.
Hmm.
But I don't know. I like the idea of you know him healing his claws right away, portraying like that in this
Hmm.
film, and then of course cutting his claws again. I don't know. It's just very odd, like a lot of illogical things not to do. I appreciate they did it, but I don't know if they did it well. And then
Mm.
of course Days of Future Past retcon everything.
Right.
After this, where we just go back to bone claws, not bone claws, metal claws, and stuff like that. But in Days of Future Past, we do see the claws being different than this film if you look closely. So they were thinking aesthetically that these metal claws were like I think McNeil did like say between the eminence claws covered to the bone claws during
Mm-hmm.
the time of Wolverine X-Men Days of Future Past. So that's great. But yeah, so and transitioning to Yasha, of course we got the main I guess love interest, Miracle.
Mm-hmm.
I thought she's a great love interest. Yeah, Dempsey was stressed, but not too bad compared to other superhero films. I think she can. She holds her own very well in this film. This actress, Toto Alkanati,
Hmm.
this was her first film debut, so she does a really good job in this
Yeah.
film, and she has good chemistry with Hugh Jackman. So I like everything what they do with her, and it's very different from the relationship. You see this relationship in the cartoons
Hmm.
because Wolverine does no miracle prior to these events happen to him. If you know the Japanese story, that's what I have to agree on. Um, were you aware of a Japanese story before this film came out? I kind of
Yeah, I knew it existed.
okay.
I'd never like read it or anything, but
I haven't read it either. Just I remember the story from the cartoons when they do it.
mm,
If you watch the '90s show, or I know Wolverine and the X-Men dealt with this. So and that was really good there. I know they made the was a Wolverine anime on basis on the Japanese story
okay.
as well. So but I mean, uh, I guess getting to the story of this film, when we get back to love interest, I one thing that this movie did right over X Men Dream was using a existing story of Wolverine.
Hmm.
Because that was the problem with Origins is that they had to combine multiple like origin stories in a film to tell origin story of Wolverine. They
Right.
had to what was it? They had to combine the origins of Wolverine, the graphic novel that was where we got the bone claws, and then they have to get the Weapon X storyline from the '90s.
Hmm.
And so that was always the issue with that film. Well, and also them cramming so much mutants in the film that were not yet in live action.
Yeah, yeah, but there was a lot wrong.
Yeah, so a lot wrong. Here I appreciate that they pick a storyline that was very simple. Like, okay, Wolverine goes to Japan, and that's good, and
Hmm.
and then you get to tell the rolling, uh, storyline that we always get with these kind of Japanese films. So it's really good that they picked the story as the next Wolverine film. Uh, and curiously, just give you a fun tip. Before James Mangold was director, Darren Aronofsky was the director for this film prior to Mangold taking over this film.
Hmm.
Yeah, so then because the thing is the title the Wolverine was from Darren first. Then it wasn't not always James Mangold choice of that title. That was always Darren. Um, and it was written by speaking of Mission Impossible, Christopher McQuarrie did I think the unwritten screenplay here.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just double checking. Yeah, he was hired to write the screenplay for the movie prior to the other writers and Mangold's involvement. I think he did not get the credit because you don't see that in the screen, so he got an uncredited screenplay for this film because he was the first writer that came to this film. He
Hmm.
also he got involved with the first X-Men film. If you look on the history of the first X-Men film, he did a draft of the X-Men film with other writers like Ed Solomon, who did the first Men in Black and the Ted was it Bill and Ted trilogy. That's
Okay.
our yeah, like so McCurry has been part of the X-Men films twice now. So I kind of curious what could the Wolverine could be like with Darren Aronofsky. Be very dark and depressing, right?
Very different. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I mean, I guess Logan was kind of like what you kind of expect from Evan, right?
I
uh,
guess.
I guess. I mean, not too dark like he does sometimes. If you've seen his films, like Return for a
Hmm.
Dream, I seen that. I seen, of course, The Wrestler, Black Swan, Noah.
Hmm.
Uh, I seen The Whale recently. I don't know if you seen that film.
No,
Uh,
I haven't.
yeah, just prepare for that film. It's very Darren film. If you see his other films,
Okay.
but Brendan Fraser deserved the Oscar, which I was happy about.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't seen The Fountain. That's the one movie I need to see one day. That's where him and Hugh worked for the first time. 2006. So yeah, so Darren was part of this, but he had to leave for family reasons. Also because of the 2012 earthquake that hit that tsunami thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, back in 2011. So it got pushed back with the production, so he left afterwards. So I had to bring that up. But yeah, so uh, getting back to Miracle, I thought Miracle was a good love interest. I liked that she was proactive. She was better than the other love interest, Silver Fox in Origins. It wasn't convoluted. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like Silver Fox wasn't this double agent that was tricking Wolverine to take the Weapon X program and all that. You know, like I like that. This love interest had also her arc as well
Mm-hmm.
that she had to overcome. I appreciate she did not want to take over the company and and like I like when we learn so much of the culture of the Japan, or the Asia uh, society,
Mm-hmm.
see how they usually function, because look, she doesn't want to marry this person, but she has to honor her family. If not, she's going to disgrace them if she doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that we brought that up, and she can handle herself and fighting. Like every time we see her getting grabbed by the yakuza's or the Black Clan that helps her family over the century, she always good at using knives. So that's kind of cool. Even paying attention, she grabs a knife and does the John Wick kind of fight knives kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I do like that. And I like how towards the end of the film, she takes over the company feeling more confident after the experience. I like how I pay attention to her speech. Like she understands that corporation is about making profits, but with the Yasha company, she wants to take the company to also help the community, and I like that. That's where we're left off with her, which is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anything else with the love interest? I think we can get into her stepsister slash friend, Yukio, I guess. Now this one I was my favorite part of this movie was Yukio. Great side character. I
Mm-hmm.
think we get into the parallels to Logan. Yukio is basically what X-23 is going to be for Logan in the next, the bodyguard, the friend,
Mm-hmm.
the one that not to protect Logan. She does it here where Logan has to do that with uh, Laura, right?
Mm-hmm.
X-23 in the next film.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that was convenient, but it was kind of fascinating to see those parallels to her and X-23. And I thought the actress here was really great. I liked Yukio. When it first introduced her, it was really funny. It went sore and all that in the bar.
Mm-hmm.
It was really great. And then of course her repeating that she's a bodyguard for Logan. I always crack that up every time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and I like the use of her powers. What do you call it? The cognitive ability to see the future.
Yeah.
That's a neat touch. I like that. Because she gets both wrong with Logan's death and Yashia. Like she didn't see how Yashia died. So, and that's a cool hint that Yashia did survive because his death wasn't predicted. So that was really neat. What's your opinion on Yukio as the main kind of side character of Logan?
Yeah, no, I thought she was a really interesting character that I don't know. I feel like Wolverine's always good when there's a younger character with him that forces him to be a little less closed off. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a classic dynamic. But yeah, no, it just always makes Wolverine kind of pop. Um,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, it's funny you brought that up. Like I didn't realize that. Yeah, Yuki is that like True
yeah,
Blue and Rogue from the first X-Men movie.
yeah. And
Yeah,
then X-23, like you were saying, from Logan.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't think Origins Wolverine didn't do that, right? Like
No.
no, so yeah, yeah, it's very funny that the worst movie didn't do that, and that shows you how bad it is. But no, it's not happening all the time. Wolverine, like like Days of Future Past, he was right there with Beast and Professor X,
Hmm.
and so it's always a comic thing with like because I like because you see like his potential father figure kind of way for him,
Yeah, yeah,
which you do see in Days of Future Past, like a son parenting his parent again, like through what he faced with the
right.
older Xavier,
Yeah,
and with here, I like with Yukio, it seems more like a brotherly kind of figure for
right.
Yukio, you know, because I like how because like Yukio is very adventurous. If you pay attention to him, he's like very adventurous. Like he really respects the Wolverine, you know,
Hmm.
um, the superhero in this universe, and like I like how the adventures that she has with Logan influence her to move on from Miracle in the film because Mikio's father says she's a toy thing that is outgrown, being outgrown from her, like as
Hmm.
a thing, and I like kind of like how she outgrown Miracle. That's like flip flop. Like she outgrown Miracle because she is moving on and doing other things. That's kind of cool. So I like how we did with that storyline. That uh, I wish we got more time with her in the film. We get barely with her sometimes here and there.
Hmm.
And I wish we kept her in the films. Like I actually liked the relationship. I was so sad she wasn't in Days of Future Past. And then I didn't like it in Deadpool 2 we cast her. I don't know if you know that this is the same character in
That's supposed to be the same character.
yeah. Yeah. That's the one that is dating the teenage warhead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
And
I knew that character was named Yukio. I just didn't know
yeah,
that it was supposed to be the same.
yeah. I mean, different powers. So that's the thing. Is fun.
Yeah, it might just be like I don't know. Deadpool's like questionably in the X-Men, like canon.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I know. I mean, I could take. Look, I could take Deadpool seriously than the actual X-Men timeline. I just find it funny we got two sets of Yukos in this
yeah.
franchise. That's just like boggles my mind with that. She is coming back in Deadpool 3, so I'm happy about that.
Oh, she is.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, a whole lot of characters from the five.
Yeah, I saw right before we hopped on this. I saw that they released a new photo from the set.
Oh yes, the Wolverine
Yeah,
scene.
yeah,
Oh my god, I I cannot believe in my life we're going to see that for real. And that's going to be my happiest moments in my life as a comic book fan, as a X-Men fan. It's like, oh, I want to see that. Oh my! But funny enough, we're supposed to see it in this film. I don't know if you know that. So,
yeah. I remember seeing
uh, yep.
like photos of it.
Yes, we'll get to that. It's it's very funny. I we'll get to that because I think it could make the film more memorable for some people.
Hmm.
And its placement makes sense in the film if you understand it. But yeah, it's crazy that they deleted that scene. We'll get into that. What else? I guess get into the other villains. I guess get into Dr. Viper, or Dr. Green, whatever you call her.
Hmm.
We thought about her. Um, I, she's pretty good. I think she's over campy. Uh,
Yeah.
I,
Um, in a movie that wasn't as she felt campier than the movie she was in.
yeah.
Um,
I laugh at the line when she goes like when the ninjas take over, trying to recapture Mikio,
mhm,
to go to the north set, and she explains that she's like a chemist, analyst, uh, capitalist, capitalist person, and then
mhm.
they the Viper, and since she does her poison tongue at the pin and affects Miruko's father, and it's like okay. And then she wears so many costumes as well. It's funny, like she wears like a green suit first and it's hilarious. Um, oh, I it was in the trailer. It was funny. What I mean, they've been very cuff with the PG-13. Her shaking like a snake, like the snakes shade their skins.
Mhm.
It it's so bizarre and creepy. It feels like a totally different movie. Now,
Yeah.
if it was a rated R movie like Logan, the third film, it makes sense. It's like okay, you're mature, you're aiming for adults. Okay, here it's like kind of bizarre. It's like, and I question what kind of mutant she is. Like you're telling me you're a mutant. Like do snakes are immune to poisons? Like I'm trying to figure out this. I'm sorry. Like like what is her power sets? Oh,
It's kind of vague,
yeah, like
but
yeah, yeah. I don't know. It's just really like she's so OP. I say before when you have an OP
mhm,
character, it gets a little too suspicious for me.
mhm,
I get why Mango kind of have her because she's like the amateuristic character we have in the film, where she embraces her amateuristic, like compared to Logan in the film.
mhm, mhm.
Logan doesn't embrace his amateuristic towards the end of the film for good reasons. Try to save Miracle, right? And like,
Mhm.
so like, I think you look at Viper, she fits very well dramatically, but I don't think she's performed as good, and that's where I had found with this character overall in this film. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but the flip side is I like the other character that I think makes more sense and has a good arc is Miracle's friend, Harada, the former lover of the Black
Mhm.
Man. I really like this character. This one, yeah, Harada is the main super samurai. They separate in this film.
Mhm.
So, just briefly, like, the super samurai is a mutant, from the comics and then the cartoons and all that. So they changed this up to be, separate characters. So I'm fine with that. Um, and so I thought Harada was a really great character. I like the actor as well, and I think Harada is the opposite of Logan, where he he has a purpose, but he's in the wrong side of it, and so just like Logan trying to redeem himself, what he did to Jean, he he's trying to honor the Yasha family, not knowing that Yasha is alive, and I don't think he knows Yasha's alive, right?
Right.
Yeah, so like, I like where like he redeemed himself to his former lover, trying to stop the Silver Samurai. So I like a lot of things with him, it, like comparing to him as Logan's equal,
Mhm.
as a soldier in a ruin as well, serving a purpose, over Logan where he's lost and he doesn't have a purpose yet towards the end of the film. I think he works well compared to Viper. So he's the best thing of this film for me in a very character driven way. But yeah. So any thoughts with Harada? Just briefly.
Yeah. I mean, I think you covered it, but
Hmm. Uh,
I don't know. I don't know if I have anything
to say
to add about him. Yeah.
yeah, he's so good, and I mean, there's a lot of characters to discuss here. It's like one thing I do appreciate this film over Origins is that they do a good job balancing so many characters, because that's a big issue with the X-Men films, and this in First Class did such a good job of handling multiple characters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and knowing like who to focus on for the story.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, yeah. So okay. Let's just like wrap things up very quickly. Just get into nitpicks and negatives of this film. I know I know this film is very flawed, and I get that. So my biggest nitpick, or some people question this, is Jean Grey in the film.
Mm-hmm.
What's your thoughts on her? Do you like that Logan is like having this? I don't know what you call it, like um images of her like in state condition. I guess what do you think the panel of having Jean in this film? Like, do you like it? I don't like the like we're still doing the Jean and Wolverine relationship, but I
I mean, yeah, I like that. It's showing like it's showing emotional consequences for him for the original trilogy. It adds some more connective tissue between the movies.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, she's like the only one connected to the trilogy we do. Like
Yeah,
like yeah,
it's Jean in this movie, and then Xavier and Logan are the only things that really make the Wolverine movies feel like they're part of the same. Like, yeah.
Yeah, well, different times. If you think about
Well, yeah.
in Logan's case, yeah. Oh, that's true. I mean, Explorer really has Professor X too, and has Stryker and
Yeah, but it could be like
a different
just
kind.
another take on the character because it's a
Yeah,
prequel and it's like, yeah, it's a little different.
yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, we have a different saber tooth, really. So, yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Makes sense. That's funny. Okay, I'm surprised you like that because I asked because as X-Men fans, we're not a big fan of the whole love triangle they always do with Cyclops and Jean.
Yeah, but it's
This is part, right?
if it's already there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's true. I mean, I just find it funny that like we're using it here. Um, I guess makes sense. So, but it was great to see Famke Janssen here. It was great. I mean, prior to her cameo in Days of Future Past, so very good. Okay. So what other I mentioned the healing factor. Which we don't going to get into the healing factor because you're right. It's totally illogical. I take whatever this movie's logical ways of doing. But this one bugs me. Is his memory like he's getting his memories back? So and this is the same issue in Days of Future Past as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how is Logan remember? Like, because you can't get your memories back, but it's just very convenient that he's getting the Japanese events happening at the same time of the stories going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it could be that he's like seeing things that are like triggering those memories again.
Yeah, like in Japan and like remembering it. Like I like how he remembers the spot where the bombing happened. Where like where that scene where he's with Yashia and like Yashia is trying to give him the sword and the two like that is a great scene and like him like remembering it like I like that part. It's a really good scene there. But the
Yeah.
beginning is weird because he's in the forest and like, and then because that scene intercuts with Jean and they're like in bed and like he
Hmm.
like it's just weird what they did that there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my problem. It's like it's just the way we did the first flashback in that beginning. Just odd to me.
Yeah.
So,
I can see that.
yeah. I did appreciate the payoff from that sword. Like he had to also do the two hands with the big sword he has to do in the finale.
Hmm.
So that was fun. Uh, yeah. Then I mean, throughout Days of Future Past, this film very feels inconsequential, basically because of the retcon that we did with Days of Future Past with the timeline and then the clause.
Hmm.
You know, which I just like you say, Will. I think you just have to take this movie as its own, really. I, you know,
Yeah.
right? It's just kind of frustrating, but that's unfortunately the thing with these X-Men films. You know, the claws, getting the claws, counting out the claws. I was shocked we did that. I know we brought up earlier, but what's your opinion on that briefly before these movies retcon that? Like, were you surprised they did it, and like, seeing the bone claws again?
Yeah, I was.
Oh my god.
But um, I don't know. Like I remember when it came out, like you knew that the next time Wolverine showed up, he was gonna have his claws back. Like I don't know. It didn't feel like it had lasting effects.
No.
But it did feel like um, the impact, like on the movie itself, as like a standalone thing, was good.
Yeah, and um, if it's thematically in the film,
Yeah, exactly.
as I say before, it's like Wolverine is like over. He's like trumpeting over science.
Hmm.
So it fits well with the trying to do the story, but it doesn't make sense afterwards with the constant movies we get Wolverine, especially Logan. It's like you get his cost there. It's funny. You were to say like we got bone, like we get both that and the bone claws in the next. It's
Hmm.
funny for me. It's like he used the majority in X-Men Days of Future Past, the bone claws, and it's funny. It's like we barely use his metal claws in that film, and here we use his metal claws here more often. So it's very funny. I crack up every time. Like I see this film with the claws cut off. It's like so dramatic. Like
Hmm.
it was like and like it's so like, and then it's like when you get to the next movie, it's like, oh, his metal claws is back, but then we see his bone claws again, but in a different time. It's
Hmm.
oh my god. And then of course when you get to the next low like Wolverine movie, it's like, oh wow. So uh, it's so funny. Just just the wacky, just the wacky creative control of these films with the continuity and like the story points that they did that so dramatically, but it gets undercut. It's just so frustrating but hilarious at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Another major one. Is the whole like I I I I mentioned. I think it's also the tone of the film.
Hmm.
I think everyone like I think there was a misconception of this film because the way the posters did, like you saw this kind of dark and stylized kind of Japanese like samurai kind of film you're respecting, but overall this film is a really grounded and like character driven film, and that's not the kind of film that you're expecting from the marketing of that. I feel like.
Hmm.
And that's where a lot of people has the issue with the third act, where we get this like Transformers mega like sword in your third act is just very jarring to me, and I think that's the fault of the PG-13 kind of film. This film is struggling, you know,
Hmm.
because every time you see Logan getting hit sees a lot of blood, and then like the claws having blood. Like they're trying to do like a very dark and gritty, like Western samurai kind of film here, but they can't, and that's why like you look at Logan, a Western as well kind of film, much better because it's on cop and all that. And I think that's always the issue with this film is the PG-13 is like holding it back in some areas, right? Like if you like the scene where he has to get that like virus out of it could have been very gory. It was very hard, right? Like
Right.
could have been dark and grim, you know. So yeah, yeah, and then it's also the ending as well, kind of unmemorable. Like, and this is where the costume was supposed to be in the airplane. So, initially, uh, Yukio, when she just comes into the airplane with Logan, she's the one that gives her the suitcase. So it's a suitcase she brings to him, and then you can see the deleted scene. It's on YouTube. And Logan opens it up, and there's the costume, the Wolverine costume from the comics. And it makes sense in the film because he now is a soldier, and like the costume kind of symbolizes like Rowan, like samurai kind of suit, you know. And so it makes sense to leave it like that, and that could have been a great, memorable ending to the Wolverine. But I do also agree with James Mangold that Logan is not a hero. Like the X-Men films are not like it's not your MCU typical universe of people dressing up. You know what I mean? The way the X-Men films are always tactical suits to protect them, or vice versa. That's I mean, outside of Deadpool, which that's another whole story. But but in the grounded universe that the X-Men films have set up to be, it's like a lot of the times they protect themselves with their bodies with these tactical suits. So because when you see the superheroes wear the suits, it's more like glamour and like it's like branding themselves. So I kind of get why like Mangold doesn't want to put it there because it's just weird because you don't like it doesn't make sense with this version of Wolverine having a costume, So I get why he deleted that, but at the same time, it makes the ending very unmemorable. Like, I mean, except with the post-credit scene, but I don't know. So, but so like that was the first time that they attempted to do the costume. I kind of wish we kept that ending. But anyway, it doesn't matter anymore because we kind of outdate ourselves because he brought out the costume in Deadpool 3. So, so we're gonna get it anyway. So I'm happy with that. So so I just want to remind people that it was first attempt here, and it's just unfortunately this didn't make sense. I think story wise and characteristic wise with Wolverine that we have in this film. Because that version that he was going to play in Deadpool 3 is going to be different. I heard, so it makes sense. So yeah, but okay, so just any nitpicks and negatives we have to bring out? Well, do you have that you were thinking about when you were watching this film?
Not really. I don't know. Like,
Okay,
it's like I said before. There's nothing that I like don't like about this movie.
yeah,
But it's not. It's more like it's not that exciting.
no,
Like, it's my criticism isn't that anything is wrong. It's just that there isn't anything that's like stand out.
Oh, I disagree. There's one thing. Is the bullet train fight.
Okay, yeah, I will give you the bullet train fight.
We should talk about that. Like that one's a really great one. I mean, it's no Spider-Man 2 train fight,
Right.
but I just love that scene. Like it's just a cool like action scene. Like just in the Japanese way.
It's a good set piece.
Yeah, it's just so funny. But also high stake because of Logan's healing is not functioning right at
Yeah.
that time,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
yeah, and then like trying to avoid the signs that
Hmm.
which oh my god, that could be a nightmare if I ever do that. No, so yeah, I think that's a great action scene.
Yeah, I agree. I will give you that one.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring that up because, like, that one, I feel like if we have maybe it could have been cool to see ninjas in the boat train, like, and to
Hmm.
see Logan's, like, oh my god, that could have been fun. Um, but yeah, I do agree with you. There's no like outstanding sequence, like even the bullet train scene I brought up, there's not enough. I feel like like the fight with the father, Hara, uh, the grandfather's son to Wolverine in the
Hmm.
house. It's cool. I like because the way I like that we got the name the Wolverine. Like it's like that's the moment when he accepted his animalistic, but his mutant name, the Wolverine. I It's a great scene, but it could have done maybe more like spectacle. I think in that scene,
Hmm.
and then him arriving the factory, the north, with Harada and him waiting for Wolverine to be there and like all the ninjas. And, because I like the scene when they trying to stop him with the arrows and like he's being like crucified a little bit. It's a good scene, but it could have been much longer.
Hmm.
As I brought up, the unrated cut has more of the ninja scenes in the third act. So we'll see. Yeah. I agree. That's where Logan kind of beats this film. Like at least there's a lot of moments I remember Logan for this scenes. So yeah. Oh man. But yeah. Wolverine. 10 years. I'm happy we got this film. It's better than Origins Wolverine.
Hmm.
Um, I'm happy that we start this than Origins Wolverine. Um, I kind of curious if we do it. Like it could be fun. Just tear apart that film.
I don't know if I want to go back there.
Yes. Well, I mean, like, is it bad as like Spider-Man 3, X-Men 3? Um, I mean, they like, I'll watch. I mean, I'll watch X-Men over Spider-Man 3. Life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. Oh god, it's tough. But I will watch it over Fan Force. I will think.
Yeah, I still haven't seen Fan Four Stick,
Oh
and I
man.
don't plan on it.
Oh, that's true. Well, we'll see. If I'm desperate, I will need to force you to watch it.
Okay.
No worries. But it has to be some special moment. We'll probably do like a worst Marvel movie month, and then we'll just talk about that.
Okay.
But not now. Anyway. But yeah. Well, thank you for joining me today. This was a fun time discussing
Thank you. Yeah.
Marvel stuff. Oh god, and I'm excited that you're gonna have a good vacation, right? You're going down
Yep.
to yeah, to where? I'm trying to.
I was just going out west.
Ah, okay. Oh, in going to see your sister, right?
Yeah.
Around. Yep. So I hope you enjoyed that. And yeah, excited to see you again in 2 weeks, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you, Will. Thank you, everyone, for listening to this, joining us in this spectacular podcast. Of course, maybe we'll be back again. I don't know what kind of topic we're going to do. That's going to be our discussion after this. Anyway, just watch out for this podcast this week and see you guys soon. Bye.